These tariffs are really having a hard time in court. I mean, that's all good for us, but it's really interesting to see how the courts are reacting to Trump's abuse of the National Emergencies Act, the Emergency Economic Powers Act, and see how far it can stretch the language of those acts. Right? Some of the judges here in these oral arguments pointed out, the Emergency Economic Powers Act doesn't even mention tariffs anywhere in the language. And I have the act up right here. All of the powers given to the president in the act, number one, it's conditional on a national emergency. So you can kind of attack the national emergency as a function of the executive, kind of tangentially to attacking the Emergency Economic Powers Act. But all of the powers that this act gives, even if there's a national emergency, are listed in this paragraph 1. A, B, and C, and tariff does not appear in any of this. It's all about sanctions. It's about investigating, regulating, prohibiting transactions. It's about confiscating property of possible espionage threats. This has nothing to do with declaring the trade deficit a national emergency and then using an act that requires an unusual and extraordinary threat to national security, the structure of our economy, etc., to then go ahead and undermine Congress's entire tariff schedule. This is entirely unlawful, and I hope that these courts get this right. If these tariffs aren't struck down by the courts, then there's a serious problem in how our government works, because the president should not be able to put whatever import taxes they want. Just think about that for a second. That is crazy. One person can decide the entire, a massive part of our tax schedule and impact every single transaction in any way he wants by saying that anything under the sun is a national emergency and a national security threat. It's all a complete lie. So I don't know how much the markets are expecting these to get overruled. It's in an appeals court right now. It only makes sense to me for these to be overruled, just based on how this questioning went in this article. The judges do not like these tariffs. We got the same kind of ruling from the panel judges that were all appointed by Republicans. They were like, this is clearly unconstitutional. Clearly no separation of powers is going on here. You can't just say a trade deficit, which, a lot of countries in the world experience, making it by definition not extraordinary. You can't label that extraordinary when it's not. A trade deficit is actually quite ordinary. And by the way, a tariff does not fix a trade deficit. A trade deficit is caused by net savings desires. And if everyone saved in their own sovereign currency, we would have no trade deficits, and every country would have a perfectly balanced trade. But lucky for us, we have net saving desires in the dollar that exist kind of outside the domestic United States, so that kind of sucks dollars out, brings goods in for free. We don't have to do anything for them but type keystrokes into bank accounts and give those dollars to foreign actors, and then we get goods for free. We don't have to build them. So if anything, it's a national security threat to not have a trade deficit, right? So this is so wrong on so many levels. But I think this is basically it. As the lawsuit has been pending, Trump has continued using his claim tariff authority as leverage to negotiating trade deals with foreign partners and punish governments he says are acting counter to American interests. So this is where Trump gets this wrong in another kind of dimension. The Emergencies Economic Powers Act does not in any of its language. Not only does it not say tariff, it also doesn't say leverage. You can't just put leverage. Trump is making tariffs on Canada a function of them recognizing a Palestinian state now, right? Where he's making tariffs on El Salvador a function of the prosecution of Bolsonaro, which is probably completely legitimate. Like if Trump is sympathizing with someone for being prosecuted, saying it's deep state actors and it's not legitimate, then the prosecution is probably completely legitimate. And just like Trump, Bolsonaro should probably be in jail. Not that I'm super knowledgeable in that, nor do I care to be. Justice Department Attorney Brett Shumate told the judges that Trump's use of the tariff as a bargaining chip was an important aspect of his effort to deal with the emergency he described. Shumate described the recent negotiated deal with the European Union as an example. Again, these economic powers are universally described as sanctions, not tariffs, and because they're extraordinary threats. So you need to take a very targeted, extreme approach, like freezing funds, confiscating assets. This is what this act is talking about in order to deal with those. So if it's like Russia, for example, we need to take action against them for whatever reason, whatever national security threat. We can confiscate their dollars that they hold in the United States financial systems around the world. We can confiscate their property. To the extent that we can do any of that, the president can direct that because it's a national security emergency, and that could be real. But this is not Trump's tariffs. You also can't even claim their leverage because he has a long-term tariff plan. He wants the United States to rebuild its manufacturing based on tariffs. If you catch him talking about it in any context where he's not trying to defend his use of tariffs under these acts, he's like, well, this is supposed to be some kind of long-term plan for the United States to get manufacturing jobs. And it's like, okay, so the point of this is manufacturing jobs. And I would stipulate that the tariffs are not good for manufacturing. That's a whole completely different argument. But say that is your goal. Is not having high-paying jobs for Americans in national security emergency? Because now you're changing it. Now you're like, I would just want these tariffs to get these trade deals to solve a national security emergency that has nothing to do with economics. But at the same time, I I have this complexion in my head that says the tariffs are going to get Americans high-paying jobs, I'm usually going to appeal to that, and that is certainly illegal. So this is that's it for this story. Hopefully, these tariffs will be gone, and the market will go up substantially, despite the recent jobs report, which I will get into in another video.